Welcome to the Surstudio podcast. My name is Priscilla and I am your host. And I'm on a mission to help luxurious interior designers reclaim their precious time and elevate their services to turn their interior design business into a 7-figure company. How? Keep listening. Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today is a very special one. I'm here with Teresa from CurtisScheduled Interiors. Hello, Teresa. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Priscilla. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm very excited about this episode. I feel it's going to be great. Right. So let's start by talking about your business. Tell me a little bit about what you do, what clients you serve, and just a little bit of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So hello, everyone. My name's Teresa Curtis. I'm the owner and founder of CurtisScheduled Interiors. Our mission is to bring joy to all things home. So, since I started this business, the big focus was making sure that people loved their space, loved where they live, and loved the experience of interior design. We specialize in residential and vacation home design, as well as will help with smaller organization projects.
That's amazing. And what will you say that is like your favorite part of the business?
My favorite part of the interior design business is owning my own company and the independence. I worked in corporate retail for over 15 years doing buying, planning, strategy, working the whole 9 to 5, over 40 an hour work week grind, and owning my own business where you would think it would actually be way more time and a bigger grind has actually been just a lot more flexible and has given me a lot more independence to manage my life, have much more work-life balance, and enjoy time with my family a little bit more.
Absolutely. And right hand to hand with that, why is that you decided to start delegating tasks in your interior design business?
Yeah, so I officially launched my business last May. And I would say, when you're starting any business, you want to learn as much as possible so that you can understand kind of the different levels from marketing to accounting to 3D rendering to elevations, social media. I think the list is endless. And as you're starting your business, you really have to prioritize where you want to focus and how you want to start and learn along the way. And I think I have a lot of great mentors in the industry that I was able to partner with as I started my business and really got to learn not only what were they doing themselves, but when did they start to delegate? When did you start to allocate resources and funds to delegating to other people to help? And they kind of helped me decide where I should start, but also doing your day-to-day and recognizing what are your strengths and weaknesses? Where are you the expert? Where do you want to focus your time? What do you enjoy? And then recognizing where you don't want to be spending that time. I'll give you a perfect example, accounting and QuickBooks. Not my favorite place to live on a regular basis. That was a perfect example of something as I started to dive into the accounting of my business, really recognizing one that I did want to learn it because I do believe when you think about it as a manager and you have a team, if someone leaves, you still need to understand how they do their job. So understanding the basics of managing the accounting of my business, but then hiring someone to help me on a daily basis to make it a little easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate accounting too. And I'm still trying to find someone to delegate that to. So I feel you there. I'm doing my accounting by myself. So I definitely have an understanding of it, but I am not great with numbers. I was never good with numbers. Besides like the stuff we need to know for interior design, and that is pretty easy and we can use a calculator.
Yeah. Well, and you want to make sure you're doing it correctly. That's always the fun part.
Yeah. That is a great test to delegate. So is that how you realize that delegating will be making your interior design business stronger?
Yeah, I think as you begin to look at your business and, when I started, my number one focus was work-life balance for my family. I left a business which was wonderful. I loved what I did. I loved the companies that I worked for, but it was a lot of time. And so we adopted our daughter in November of 2020. It was in the middle of a pandemic. And when you weren't able to spend as much time with her, we really stepped back and said, what do we want our lives to look like? And so when I started, it was really focused on the work-life balance. Rory, we had home on Mondays and Fridays. So I really only worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I really wanted to stick to that kind of 9 to 5, not working nights and weekends. And as you start to map out your weeks, map out your clients, map out making sure you have time for your QuickBooks, building your website, social media strategy, scheduling posts, you start to outline it all and you go, okay, where are the areas that I can outsource that's really going to help me to allocate my time doing what I love to do, which is the design part of the business.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I mean, it's amazing how you are able now to spend that time with your daughter that you were not able to spend before. And it is also like so amazing, like for me too, to be able to map out, as you said, however you want the week to be. Like if next week you want to have 3 days off, you can just map it out to be like that and do the work the way that you want. Because first of all, you are the business owner. And second, if you're delegating, there are tasks that are still going to be done during that time that you're not working because you have people doing it. I think that is so amazing.
And I think what's crucial too, Priscilla, not to interrupt you, is when I start my process or I have new clients or I'm working with new vendors, I have a call with them and I kind of walk them through my background of this was my past life. This is not the goal for my current life. It's not the goal for my business. And I really make sure that that aligns with people's goals and what they're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, if they're looking for a designer that they can call on Friday nights at 10 p.m. or they'll be there on Saturdays, I'm very transparent of this is why I left corporate retail. This is, I also obviously love the interior design world, but it's really setting those expectations, which I think are crucial for business owners because you can get so swamped and text, email, calls, social media, you can just be sucked in every hour of the day.
Yeah, no, that is actually so true. And I think we talked about this like a couple of months ago when we first met. I don't work weekends. I decided when I started this business that I was never going to work weekends because I tend to get very into the work when I'm working. And if I allow myself to work on weekends, I'm never going to take a day off. And that is going to get me super burnt out and super stressed. And it's just not good. We need our personal time too, and our families and whoever you want to spend time with need us and we need them too. And it's just so important to take that time. And as you said, set those boundaries with clients, vendors, and any other person that you're working with. It is so super important because, again, as you said, there are clients or people that can be texting you or emailing you at 10 p.m. or maybe like on a Saturday or a Sunday and they want you to answer. And that's something that no one wants to do. And some people do it, but seriously, like who wants to be answering a work email on a Sunday? Like when you are having lunch with your family, no one wants to do that.
Yeah. Well, and we're in a service industry, so it's hard. People obviously work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and those are the same hours that we have. And so it's making sure that people can prioritize their time and schedule us in. And so if that doesn't work and you need someone that's nights and weekends, then it's not the right fit. So agree though.
Exactly. And I mean, the last thing I want to say about that is that I think it is so good and so healthy that you are able to set those boundaries from the beginning, because there are many interior designers out there that might be listening to this episode that have a hard time setting those boundaries because they don't want to be losing certain clients because of the boundaries. But something that I always say about this is that if those people cannot respect your boundaries, they shouldn't be your clients. And someone better is going to come after.
Yep. Well, and if someone's like, well, what happens if I want to text you on a Saturday? And if they're having a hard time with it, that's not someone they're going to want to work with at the end of the day.
Exactly. Absolutely. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the first task that you start delegating in your interior design business.
The first task that I started delegating, that's a great question. I know QuickBooks was one of the first, but I actually partnered with an architect pretty early on. I work with a bunch of different contractors. I feel having an architect is crucial when it comes to permit drawings and code, etc. And I started working with this great guy. His name is Seth Holden. He's out of Holliston. His company is SAH Design LLC. And he's just been a great partner when it comes to elevations, permit drawings. And that's something that I'm not an expert in. That's something I kind of decided early on that I wanted to outsource. And primarily because when you start taking down walls and you start removing plumbing, and it's really making sure that you've got someone there that understands every single little detail of how that should operate. So he's been an amazing, amazing partner that I started working with very early on. And we continue to work together to this day too.
Yeah, that is a very smart task to delegate. I think many designers, I don't know, I don't want to say like something that is not true, but I would say that most interior designers don't really work in parallel with an architect to make sure those changes are 100% correct. Because I mean, as interior designers, we also learn that part, but I think that what you're doing is super smart because they know more than us. And I think that is one of the aspects that as interior designers, we don't love, like the technical parts and all the calculating where we can like take this part down and put a new part here. And
no, it's a second gut check, which is really good. As I joke with Seth, I say, you crush all my hopes and dreams because I'll come into a project and I have all of these fun ideas and let's remove the second floor and let's do a vaulted ceiling. And as the reality starts to set in, you talk about the different beams that need to be added and structural integrity and all of that stuff. So I joke with him that he brings me back to reality. I kind of throw out the fun dreams of what it could be. And then he lets me know what we can actually accomplish, which is good.
Oh, no. 100%. And I was just thinking for a second because I thought that was pretty funny. Okay, so you started delegating those more like architectural stuff to this person, like one of the first ones. And can you tell, or like, can you recall like a specific moment when you realized that delegating those kind of stuff was helping you grow your business or make your business stronger or even easier?
Yeah, I mean, once I started allocating the accounting of my business and the QuickBooks section, I'm still doing it once a month. I try to do every Friday at the end of the month where I sit down and, it's all the fun administrative tasks that we get to do as business owners. But before that, I was tracking things on a daily basis, weekly basis. And since I was able to outsource that, I can really trust that everything's being updated and it's accurate by the end of the month. So at the end of the month, I'm really spending probably an hour just going through and making sure that everything is accurate. And then I have an hour call quarterly with my accountant and bookkeeper just to go through, okay, what do I need to be sending to the state, federally? And it's a peace of mind to make sure that everything's being done accurately, but it alleviated a very large amount of my time, especially when I started and only working 3 days a week. I couldn't be doing a half a day a week allocated to accounting. That's not how I wanted to spend my time, but it allowed me to take on additional clients, work with my contractors on more projects, and at the end of the day, have time to even educate myself a bit more, have lunches with mentors that I respect highly, monthly calls with people that I can ask questions to, have the opportunity to meet you and spend time learning about your business and what you can offer. It really allowed me time to learn and extend what I was able to do.
No, yeah, absolutely. And having that time is super important, as we were saying. But maybe is there like a specific moment or like a specific memory you have, or I don't want to repeat my words, like a moment where you realize the big change that delegating those tasks were making? Like maybe you were, just to give you an example, maybe you were sitting, having dinner with your husband and your daughter and you realize like, oh, like something clicked in your mind and you were like, this is making my life so much easier. Is there like a moment like that? Or maybe it was transitional?
Yeah, probably 2 months ago, I was just looking back at all the projects that I currently had in the works, and just a section of what I was working on. I had 9 bathroom remodels going on at the same time for 4 different clients. And I think if I had looked back a year ago and I had said, holy moly, that's a lot of bathrooms to be doing at one point in time, but it was exceptionally reasonable. I wasn't overwhelmed. I felt like I had perfected my process of how to manage bathroom remodels, working with the GC teams that I work with, the architect that I work with, my vendor partnerships, we've kind of got a great rhythm of them sending an Excel spreadsheet with pricing in it as a perfect example. So I'm not spending hours and hours and hours having to type out pricing for plumbing fixtures. Now I've got a good rhythm with the vendors that I work with. So after we meet, they can send it right over. I can easily transition it into a budget. That was probably a moment of, I think I had 16 different projects going on at the same time, which on paper felt really overwhelming. But in reality, I was managing pretty easily because of outsourcing and having great resources and a great just team that I work with.
Yeah. And that is, a great example for any interior designers listening to this episode, that outsourcing can allow you to take on more projects too, because sure that if you didn't have all that support, you probably wouldn't have had all the time to do those 9, let's be real, 9 different projects. Like, that is a lot. It's so much. And you were able to do it perfectly because, well, first of all, because you're capable. But second, because you had the support and you had the time because of that support. And that is something that is amazing about delegating.
As we say outsourcing, I think sometimes people think, oh, if I'm going to outsource something, that means it's going to cost me money. And I think what is crucial to recognize is, yes, I'm obviously paying my accountant, and yes, I'm paying the architect that I'm working with, but your vendor partners that work with you, you're not personally paying. And I think it's building a relationship and a rapport and a structure with them. They want to build their business as well. That's how they're rewarded. A lot of them are commission based. And so by outsourcing tasks that they're most likely doing anyway, that will then in turn help your business, help your projects move faster along, will then help them grow their side of the business as well. And it's such a great partnership. But I just say that because I think, especially when you're first starting out, you feel like you have to outsource all of these things and it's so expensive, and you've got to prioritize where you're outsourcing. Because let's be honest, when you're starting your business, you're not making that 6-figure salary quite yet. And you've got to kind of prioritize where your time and your money goes. And the vendor partnerships and your contractor partnerships are just wonderful to help build your business without costing money.
Yeah, that is so true. And that also reminds me to something that I have to talk sometimes with some clients, that are some of the stuff that you delegate that you can also include in the design fee that you charge your clients. All the costs of doing business should be covered by what you charge to your clients, basically. Because if not, you are paying the cost of doing business by your own pocket. You're putting money out of your own pocket to cover the cost of doing business. And doing business is obviously not a hobby. It's like we are here to make money, even though we love the interior design world. And this is our passion. But at the same time, this is our job and we need to make money in order to afford living. So as business owners, we need to make smart decisions, and we can't be paying the cost of doing business out of our own pocket. So everything should be covered by what you charge to your clients. This is sounding a little bit redundant, I know, but it's just to kind of like change the perspective that sometimes as business owners we can have of, I am spending on this like out of my own pocket. And the way I separate it are the tasks that you directly don't really pay at all, which are like, in this case, what we provide, which is 3D rendering, 2D drafting, because you directly include that cost in your client's design fee. And then there are the tasks like accounting. And I don't know if you use social media management or like a social media manager, that too, and administrative work, whatever people you have working for your business that doesn't work for your clients, those are like another kind of stuff. But I mean, you do spend on those, but that cost, you also, in a smart way, have to include it in the fee that you charge your clients.
No, you have your administrative costs, and you've got to make sure that what you are charging your clients not only covers the expenses to build that design portfolio for them and that interior design project, but you also need to cover those administrative expenses. We love that QuickBooks monthly fee, and I use Squarespace for my website. I use design files for my interior design projects. All of these things are expenses, the fixed expenses that I have on an annual basis that I've got to make sure is included at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about it, sometimes as small business owners, we think that we are like just taking our clients' money for charging that, or like not charging, but like including that in the price. But if you think about it, even when you go to the grocery store, everything that you're buying, it also like has all this kind of fees included in it. I mean, the first provider maybe is charging like 50 cents for it. And then you go to a grocery store and you pay like $10 for it because all the fees that go in it for taxes and all the costs of like, I don't know, transportation and everything, it just ends being so much that I don't think as small business owners, we should feel guilty for including those expenses in the price. It's just a smart move that we all have to do in order to stay on business.
Yeah, every business operates that way. I mean, coming from corporate retail, what the vendors are paying for the cost of your product and what the people making the product are paying for the cost of the product are a lot lower than obviously what you're paying as the consumer. But what you are paying for is the employees, the structure, the marketing, all of the fun expenses that we all get to.
The trust.
Yeah.
Were there any surprises that you encountered when you were delegating that you didn't expect to encounter?
I don't know that I would say I've had a ton of surprises. I think as I've started to delegate, I've been very upfront and communicative with the partners that I'm delegating to of my expectations. And I'm definitely a type A personality who likes to control what I can control because it is my business, it is my name. So I think it's making sure upfront that you're sitting down and saying, here's my business, here's what I'm about, here's how I want our relationship to operate. Work-life balance is my focus. I will respect that for you as well. And then giving honest feedback of, hey, this is something that I've really liked that you've done for me. Here's something that I'd like to do a little bit better. And then once you go through each project, really circling back and sitting down and going, okay, this went well. Maybe this is something we should improve in our process. What wasn't clear? And kind of learning and adjusting as you go on. But I wouldn't say that was a surprise. I think it was more of just how do you set expectations up front as you build these relationships and then make sure that everyone's being respectful and open and honest.
I love that. That is so important. And there are many people that forget to set those expectations from the beginning or that are kind of scared to give feedback or being like, I think this is something we could improve. Or I love how this worked, but I want to like maybe adjust a little bit here or there or whatever it is. I think that is super important to make the whole experience better for every part, like you and the other person that is doing whatever work it is for you. It just makes things so much easier. And it also helps that other person improve their services or their work or whatever they're doing. I just really love that.
And, honestly, sometimes I'll say to the partners that I work with, this felt like it was a little bit challenging. Here's something I could have done better. And I think it makes people feel a little bit more comfortable. I'll do that with my clients as well. So, once we complete a project, I usually will schedule a call to say, hey, what was your favorite part of the experience? What was the most challenging? What could have been better? And I'll always give an example of, this is something that I think I could have done better. Would you agree? And I don't think it's to beat yourself up, but I think it just helps them feel a little bit more comfortable to say, oh yeah, you know what? I do agree that could have been a little bit better. And from there, you address your process and outsource more things if you feel the need to. And I think a perfect example of that is I was doing all of my floor planning, my mood boards, my 3D renderings on my own and kind of teaching myself how to do 3D renderings. And to be fully transparent, something that did completely surprise me is just how much better the 3D rendering world has gotten and the technology that exists. And as we talk about AI, and I feel like this could be a whole other podcast in itself, but looking at the 3D renderings that I could create versus examples of what you create and your team creates, as well as other people on social media, et cetera, I recognize this is not something that I'm an expert in. And a client that I had talked to had said, yeah, I wish that I could have seen this in a live walkthrough. And I was like, that's a great idea. That is not something that I have the expertise to do. And from that open and honest feedback, I was then able to outsource something in my business that could improve the customer experience, which at the end of the day is a way to grow your business and grow your vendor partnerships.
And again, I really love that. I love that you are able to point out the stuff that you maybe are not the best at, but that you want to include in your business. And you're also able to recognize that you need someone to help you do that. And it's just amazing that you can point that out and improve your overall client experience. And just, it also helps grow your business.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to be curious. You've got to be curious whether you're a business owner or whether you work for an organization. I mean, the most recent company that I worked for was New Balance, which, to give them a plug, I absolutely love New Balance, one of the best companies I ever worked for, incredible owners. But something that we were constantly doing is being curious, researching NPD data, understanding analytics, understanding new technologies. How do we make sure that we make the customer experience the best it can be, and learning about the customer, really understanding their needs and their wants. And that translates into interior design and owning your own business as well, as making sure just because you have a process created and it's working well doesn't mean that you shouldn't be curious to learn how it can be even better, because we can always make the experience better and utilize people that are experts in the field. I mean, you do not need to be an expert at everything. You have your strengths, you have your weaknesses, and make sure that you allocate your time to the things that you're good at, but also make sure that you're allocating your time to the things that you really love. Because just because I'm very good at math, I do not want to spend my time doing accounting. That's not something that I enjoy. I'm good at it. Can I do it? Yes. But good old having my MBA helped me there. Thank you, Babson. But, it's making sure that you're spending your time doing the things that you love to do, as well as the things that you're good at. My little soapbox today, I guess.
No, that is so true. That is so true, because just to give another example, there are interior designers that obviously know how to use, for example, AutoCAD perfectly from like every corner of the app. But some of them don't really love doing it. So that is a perfect task that they can delegate, because it takes a lot of time. And that is something that, it happens to me too. Sometimes I'm doing like some schoolwork and I'm sitting on my laptop and maybe it's 10 a.m. And then I look at the time and then it's like 2 p.m. And I'm like, what? Like I spent all that time like drafting a floor plan, and maybe you don't realize how much time it takes. And sometimes you know how to do it perfectly, and maybe you even enjoy it a little, but it is better to outsource it, to just not put all your energy and time on it, and use that time in something that would help to bring your business to, the next level, if we want to say it like that, that are not like the core service of the business. So with that in mind, I know that you said there were not really like surprises when delegating, but were there any challenges when you start delegating?
Yeah, I think owning your own business, there are things that you have to let go of. And I do think that's challenging, because you're putting your trust into other people that don't own your business. So,
oh yeah.
But again, I think that's a personal challenge that I had, of just kind of letting go. You have that challenge as you become a manager, and trusting your team to, succeed, and giving feedback and coaching is so crucial. And that directly applies to owning your own business and delegating. And it goes back to, it's challenging to let go, but as long as you're having open and honest communication, you are gathering feedback during the process. But I think the most important part is really talking through how the process went afterwards. Our lives are so crazy that we've got a laundry list of things that we're trying to get to, that we never stop and reflect back on what went well, what didn't well, and taking the time to get that feedback. I think that's crucial as well. And that will really help mitigate those future challenges.
Yeah, that is an amazing answer, actually. That does prevent a lot of challenges and future challenges too. I think feedback, and not just feedback in general, like, oh, that was good, that was bad, but very specific and detailed feedback. Like the examples you were giving me, those are like the perfect kind of feedback, because I'm trying to think about an example very quickly, but if you, let's say about rendering, because it's the first thing that comes to my mind. Someone sends you, like, is doing a rendering for you, and maybe with the final product, you were not completely convinced because, something super random. The trim board was not exactly how you wanted it. And you should say like, oh, this was great. I just think that it could be better. That is like feedback, yes, but it is not specific. And then the other person will be like, okay, I will try to do it better. But then when they try to do it better, will be like, okay, what should I be doing better? So giving very specific and detailed feedback the way that you were telling me, like in this little example I gave, like, okay, like the trim work could have been like a little bit more, blah, 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 whatever it was. But allow the other person to know exactly they can improve the next time. I really
Yeah. No, sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say what I had said before that I think is crucial is, hey, how could I have communicated the trim work better? So put it a little bit on your own onus. You're the one communicating the design, right? So it's if something's missed, instead of saying, hey, that trim work could have been better, with your partner saying, hey, how could my communication been a bit more clearer so that you're not having to do it multiple times? And what that does is that opens that honest feedback to say, hey, you didn't let me know what color it was supposed to be, or it wasn't detailed out in your spec sheet. It makes it a less threatening conversation when you kind of take the onus of what I could have done, which I think is just an easier way to do it.
Again, that is an amazing perspective to take and a really good way to do it. It's just, I think that everything you're doing is in such a great way because it will definitely help you and anyone in your team to be on the same page and to understand everyone, each other, and have everything clear. So you should be proud of yourself.
Well, thank you.
So I will just jump straight to what advice would you give to other interior designers who are considering delegating tasks to kind of like empower their business?
Oh, don't be afraid to do it. I mean, I think there is, like I had said, it is a challenge. You want to have so much control, but finding very good partnerships are so worth it. And honestly, it makes the business less lonely, especially if you own your own business and you're just dealing directly with your clients. That's obviously a wonderful relationship, but having a community that you can reach out to and work with and collaborate with not only will make you a better designer, it will make the experience so much easier. And I guess, going back to one of your questions of like, what surprised you about delegating, and maybe it's not necessarily a delegating surprise, is one of my mentors had told me that this industry was so friendly, so open, exceptionally helpful. And you would think it would be a bit more competitive. And she was right. It's a very welcoming community. People are looking to help each other. And that, I don't want to say was surprising, but it kind of was. You would hope it would be like that. But the reality was everyone is very collaborative and helpful, and interior designers help each other. And don't be afraid to ask questions and reach out. I think everyone's always afraid to sound like they don't know what they're doing, but you could be an interior designer for 20 years and there's new technologies that you know nothing about. Be open and honest about it because it's only going to help your business grow and help you meet other vendors or people that you can delegate tasks to that can help you and make your business even stronger.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And that is also like something that we briefly talk of the interviews about how being a business owner can be kind of lonely because you are the only one running everything. And you make a really good point there that having a team of how many people you have can also help you have your own little community in your business. And it is very important also to find people that are interested in seeing your business grow with you, that really want to help you grow your business, that are there because they are A players. They are willing to go above and beyond. And it's really important to be supported and actually have people that want to help your business grow when you're delegating.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is as you delegate, you're going to learn a ton and you're also going to see who's the best fit for your business. And I do think there's like a guilt as you start to build these relationships and you have someone who is doing 3D renderings or doing your accounting. Over time, as you start to build that relationship and you have that fast feedback and you're building process, if it's not working at the end of the day, it's not something that you're stuck with either. Sometimes it's hard to break up with people, but at the end of the day, you've got to make sure that the people that you're working with have the same core values as you, understand your mission, understand what you want that client experience to be. And if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. And that's okay at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like kind of like related a little bit with what we were saying about the clients. If this is not the right person to collaborate with or to be in partnership with, there's probably someone else that is going to. It's not like there is no one only person doing that job. Like there is no one only person providing the services we provide at Surstudio. There is no one only person providing the services that you provide. There is not one only person providing any service. So there is always someone that can fit with your mission, your values, your vision. And that doesn't mean that you are going to be like discarding people like if they were like, I don't know, disposable plates.
No, absolutely not.
But it also means that it has to work for you and it has to work for them. And that other person also will get another client and another partnership. And it's probably, if it is not working for you, it probably doesn't feel good for them either.
Yeah. And it's building your team. It's just like, say you're hiring your team. It's making sure that it's the right fit and it's going to be a good experience for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So do you think that delegating brought you closer to what your dream life vision is? And if so, how did it?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Just having more time for my family. Like I said, I really prioritize that up front. And what it's allowed me to do is really grow my client base, meet more people in the community, attend more events. I went to an amazing Kohler event from Supply New England last month. I got to meet a bunch of plumbers in the area, other interior designers, really spend some great time with the vendors that I work with. And it's been crucial in allowing me more time with my family and growing my business at the same time. At the beginning, I really limited how many clients I was taking on to keep that work-life balance. But now I've been able to quadruple the amount of clients I can have at any given time, but still have that work-life balance too.
Yeah. And think about that, quadruple, that is huge. And that is something that in some people's life is almost impossible, because where will they fit in their time, or where will they fit in their lives? So it's just to think about the amount of work that you can bring in without putting your whole time into it.
Yeah. And I think it's not only something professionally that you should do, it's something personally you should do as well if you're able. I mean, we all think about grocery delivery, right? It sounds so dumb, but sometimes it's a little bit more expensive. But sometimes in order for you to be able to spend more time with your family, that's a prioritize you make, so that on Sunday you're not spending 2 hours going to Whole Foods. Instead, you can take your children to the pumpkin patch or go apple picking. So in life, it's realizing and recognizing where you can delegate just to make sure that you're having the best life experience overall.
Yeah. And that's a great example, because, for example, when I go grocery shopping, I'm horrible at grocery shopping. I don't bring a list. I go all over the store. My boyfriend and I, we go together and we are both the same. It's not we kind of balance each other in that sense. We are both very bad at it, and we just go through the grocery store, seeing what we think that we want or need without an actual plan. And then we get home, we spend a lot of money in grocery shopping. And after a week or a week and a half, I don't know how much, but after a couple of days, we are why do we cook now?
What did we buy?
So that is such a silly but great example of how delegating can help you also map out your business and organize your mind too. Because going back to that example, if you're getting your groceries delivered, you're seeing everything on a list. You are not going through the grocery store and just looking around to see what you want. You are just seeing everything on a list. And in my experience, it's just easier to organize it in my mind and to know exactly what I'm going to get or what I want, instead of just getting lost in the grocery store. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does.
You got to start planning your meals, girlfriends.
Oh, I know. I try to plan my meals. I actually asked ChatGPT to make me a 4-week meal plan with all the requirements I wanted. It was pretty cool. I haven't used it yet.
That is pretty cool. That's something we actually haven't talked about at all. I've outsourced, my accounting. I work with an architect, 3D renderings. Something that I have started using is AI and Chat GPT. And I think it's a very interesting space. And I think you could probably do obviously a whole podcast on it, especially when it comes to social media. I've found it to be exceptionally helpful. Just saying exactly like you just said with, hey, plan my meals for the week. It's, hey, what are 4 social media posts focused on interior design that I should do this week? And do I do them all? No, but it's good to have some idea generation that you can look and say, oh, I really love that idea. Oh, maybe think about this. And then it's also reaching out to your social media base to be what do you want to hear? What do you want to see? And does it align with how I want to spend my time? But ChatGPT has definitely been something that I have outsourced that's been exceptionally helpful. I do think, and the advice I would give other designers is just make sure when you're using it that it aligns with your voice.
Yes.
Because obviously it is writing things generically through millions and millions of data points. But as you have it it writing your website or writing emails or creating strategies for social media, make sure that it aligns with who you are and what your business is and the voice of your business. Because I think it can sound a little cheesy too.
Yeah.
But it gives good context and ideas.
Yeah, it is really, really good to brainstorm like a bunch of ideas. Like you said, what are 5 things I should be posting on Instagram this week? Like for interior design, it probably gives you 5 ideas and you take maybe 1 or 2 from there, or maybe you combine a couple of them and you twitch a couple of stuff. It just helps you like get your brain moving on the ideas. As you said, I wouldn't recommend like copying and paste exactly what is telling you, because first of all, it won't sound robotic and people will notice. And second, it won't sound like you, just as you said, and it can be cheesy, absolutely. And it can use some words that might not match with the way you talk. Like in my case, I'm not a native English speaker, so there are words that I don't even know what they mean, or maybe that I will never think of saying because I can't even pronounce those words. So I have to change those, and I need to like twitch a couple of stuff, maybe change the punctuation to make it match the way I do it, the structure of the paragraph and everything. I think it's really important to go and edit everything that you're taking from ChatGPT and not just, as I said, copy and paste.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. So we are basically at the end of the episode. And as we wrap up, what's your vision for the future of your interior design business now that you have started delegating?
You know, my mission and priority is always to make sure that work-life balance is my number 1 priority. And I would say the second is to make sure that the client experience is top notch. And again, my mission is to bring joy to all things home. And that means making sure at the end of the day, my clients love the output of what I provide as an interior designer, but that they also love the experience. And the experience is, not stressful. And that happens by having great relationships with your vendors and your contractors, being open and transparent. And my mission is to continue to do that.
That is beautiful. And I just think that, as I mentioned before, I think you are in a great path with your mission and vision. And the way that you are communicating that and applying that to your business is the right way to do it. Because the way I see it, you don't believe that you know absolutely everything. And some people can fall in that hole believing that they know everything, and that just gets you stuck. But I just think that right now you're in a great spot because you are open to keep learning constantly. And all you care about is to make things work in the right way. What I mean by this, you want your clients to have a top-notch service or experience. You want your team to understand what they need to do and have clear instructions and feedback, and to be able to communicate clearly with you too. You want your business to be also the same thing, transparent and clear. So I think you're in a great spot, and I think you should keep doing what you're doing. And you are going to get to really good places with the way that you're doing stuff.
Yeah. Anyone that tells you that they know everything, you should run.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, and everyone should be this way, we're not an expert in anything. But what I will tell you about my business and who I am personally, I will learn, I will research, I will reach out to the network that I'm building to understand what are the right things to do, where is there risk, and execute that as I move forward. As I joked with you earlier, learning all of the new shower pressure laws in Massachusetts and gallons per minute and understanding how that operates. I now know which shower heads to buy and what to warn clients about when they redo their bathrooms. These are things that you learn from asking questions. And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't take the time to learn and research and talk to the experts that do it every day.
Yeah. And as you said at some point in this episode, staying curious. That will be the expression of the day, staying curious. That is so true and so important. And sometimes we forget to stay curious. So is there any final words for interior designers who are trying to start delegating maybe, or just getting a little bit curious, that maybe could empower them to start delegating or empower their journeys?
Yeah. Be open to meeting new people. The more people you connect with, the more different connections of people that you're going to meet and different skills that they're going to have. And I don't want to say be comfortable interviewing people, but be comfortable learning about what people do and what they can offer you. And if they fit your business it's easy to do a trial run. It's easy to do smaller projects and then grow from there. And what I've found is I've just met so many incredible people that have then resulted in referrals for my business, have resulted in growing my business, have resulted in more time with my family. And at the end of the day, it's been such a joyful thing for me. So I think it's something you shouldn't be afraid of. And I think at the end of the day, making sure that it's the right fit and it's the right team is.
Yeah, that's a beautiful advice. And I'm pretty sure that anyone listening to this episode would really appreciate all the advices you have given today. We got to the end of this episode, so I don't have any more questions for you. Is there anything else? I know I just asked you if you had anything else to say, but I would ask once again, anything else you would like to say before we finish the episode?
No, I think thank you so much for having me. I think as a plug at the end of it, Curtis Row Interiors, we offer a very a la carte process for all budgets. One of my goals for this business is to be very inclusive of all. I am designer for a day where I can come out and help with smaller projects. I also will do just a design phase where a packet can be handed off to you. You can execute it on yourself, or a full implementation so that all people can afford having an interior designer come into their home and help them bring joy to their space. So more of just a plug on our business. And it is a very a la carte and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today to be in this episode with us, all of us listening to us too.
Thank you.
And for anyone listening, thank you so much for listening to this whole episode. And I hope I see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Sur Studio podcast. We love to have in our community. Let's be friends on social media. You can find us on Instagram at surstudio.id or check out our website at surstudiointeriordesign.com. This was Priscilla from Sur Studio, and I look forward to have you on our next episode.